The family sent the weird niece as a joke, but the millionaire fell in love instantly. Emily Carter never imagined she would be used as an instrument of revenge by her own family. For years she had lived in the back of her aunt and uncle's mansion, caring for her sick grandmother and enduring daily humiliations, when she received the strangest invitation of her life. It was when Aunt Patricia appeared in her room with a borrowed dress and a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Emily, you will represent us at a very important dinner tonight," said the woman, feigning kindness. Emily adjusted the large glasses on her face, surprised. They never invited her to anything. "But I don't understand, Aunt Patricia. Why me?" "Because I need someone special to impress a very arrogant businessman. He asked to meet a young lady from the family to accompany him to a charity event." What Emily didn't know was that her aunt had planned everything down to the smallest detail. Patricia Harrison was furious with Michael Bennett, the millionaire owner of several companies in New York City, ever since he refused a deal she wanted so badly. The man had been clear he would only partner with serious and trustworthy people. The Machiavellian idea came when Michael mentioned he needed a companion for the charity dinner the following week. Patricia pretended to be solicitous and offered a niece from the family. Michael accepted, trusting the respected Harrison name. "You will wear this dress and behave exactly as you always do," said Patricia, handing her a dress that was far too simple for the occasion. "Just be yourself, Emily." Emily noticed the strange tone in her aunt's voice but didn't question it. She was rarely given any opportunity to leave those four walls. That afternoon, while getting ready in the small, cracked mirror in her room, Emily heard laughter coming from the main living room. She craned her neck and saw her cousins Brandon and Madison talking animatedly with their mother. "Just imagine his face when he sees Emily," laughed Brandon, a young man in his 20s, used to having everything in life. "Poor thing. She doesn't even suspect she's being used," added Madison, fixing her blonde hair in the mirror. "That arrogant businessman will learn not to mess with our family." Emily felt her heart tighten. Even without fully understanding the plan, she knew it was nothing good. But what choice did she have? She depended on the family for everything, especially for her Grandma Margaret's expensive medicine. At 7 in the evening, an elegant driver rang the doorbell. Emily came down the stairs slowly, holding tightly to the strap of the old purse that had belonged to her mother. The grey dress she wore was pretty, but clearly outdated and far too simple for a social event. Michael Bennett was waiting in the back seat of a silver Cadillac, reviewing some documents on a tablet. When Emily got into the car, he looked up and was silent for a few seconds. She wasn't what he expected. The young woman seemed shy, with large glasses that hid much of her delicate face. Her brown hair was tied up simply, and she kept her hands clasped in her lap, clearly nervous. "Good evening," he said, noticing how she avoided looking directly at him. "You must be Emily." "I'm Michael Bennett." "Good evening, Mr. Bennett," she replied softly. "Thank you for inviting me." During the drive to the hotel where the event would be held, Michael tried to make conversation, but Emily answered in monosyllables. She was terrified, imagining what the family's real plan was. The ballroom of the Grand Plaza Hotel was filled with elegant people. Emily had never seen so much luxury in one place. Crystal chandeliers, tables decorated with extremely expensive flowers, waiters serving champagne in crystal glasses. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like the video and especially to subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out as we're just starting, now continuing. Michael introduced her to some acquaintances as Emily Harrison, and she noticed their surprised looks. Clearly they were expecting someone different, more glamorous perhaps, more on the level of a successful businessman. During dinner, Emily tried to behave appropriately, but her inexperience in social events was evident. When the waiter poured red wine into her glass, she took a sip and made an involuntary face. "Don't you like wine?" asked Michael, noticing her reaction. "Actually, I've never had wine in my life," she admitted, blushing. "I'm sorry. You must think I'm a country bumpkin." Something in that honesty touched Michael. He was used to people who pretended to have experience in everything just to impress him. "Not at all. I prefer sincerity over pretense," he replied, smiling. Would you like me to order something different for you to drink? Emily nodded gratefully. He called the waiter and ordered a fresh passion fruit juice. The simple gesture made her feel less out of place. As the evening progressed, Michael was surprised by Emily. When he mentioned a book he was reading, she immediately perked up and started talking about literature with a passion he rarely saw in people from his social circle. "Have you read The Great Gatsby?" she asked, temporarily forgetting her shyness. "I have, in school. But I confess I didn't pay much attention at the time," admitted Michael. "It's an incredible work about jealousy and doubt. F. Scott Fitzgerald was brilliant in showing how the human mind can distort reality," said Emily, her eyes shining behind her glasses. Michael became genuinely interested. It had been years since he'd had a stimulating intellectual conversation with someone. The women in his social circle usually only talked about parties, expensive trips, and gossip. "And what else do you like to read?" he asked, resting his chin on his hand. Emily talked about various American authors, demonstrating impressive knowledge. Michael discovered that she read everything she could find in the small New York Public Library branch in her neighborhood, and that she dreamed of going to college for English literature. "Why haven't you done it yet?" he wanted to know. The question brought Emily back to the harsh reality. She lowered her eyes, the enthusiasm draining away. "I don't have the financial means. And, well, I have responsibilities at home." Michael realized he had touched on a sensitive point and changed the subject, but he became curious about the life of that interesting young woman who seemed to hide so much behind her large glasses. During dessert, Emily was trying to cut a piece of pie when she accidentally spilled some berry syrup on her dress. "Oh my God!" she exclaimed, mortified. "I've ruined everything!" Without hesitation, Michael took off his suit jacket and offered it to her. "Put this over it. That way no one will notice," he said kindly. Emily put on the jacket, which was far too big for her, but the caring gesture moved her deeply. It had been years since anyone had shown that kind of care for her. "Thank you so much," she whispered. "You are very kind." "Michael, you can call me Michael," he said, smiling. When the event ended, Michael insisted on driving her home. On the way back, they continued talking about books, and Emily felt more at ease than she had in years. The driver stopped in front of the Harrisons' mansion gate. Emily hesitated before getting out of the car. "Thank you for a wonderful evening," she said sincerely. "It's been a long time since I've felt so normal." "Normal?" Michael didn't understand. "Forget it. Good night, Michael." She quickly got out of the car, leaving the jacket on the seat. Michael watched as she crossed the garden, but he was puzzled when she didn't enter the house through the main door. Instead, she went around the building and disappeared towards the back. Patricia Harrison was waiting for Emily in the kitchen, an anxious expression on her face. "So, how was it?" she asked immediately. Emily noticed that her aunt seemed more interested in knowing if something had gone wrong than genuinely curious about how she had felt. "It was pleasant," she answered cautiously. "Pleasant." Patricia seemed disappointed. "That's it? He wasn't embarrassed? He didn't seem upset?" Emily began to understand. The family had really set something up, and she had been the bait. "He was very polite to me, Aunt Patricia." "Polite?" murmured Patricia, clearly unsatisfied. "Well, never mind. Now get back to your chores. Grandma needs her 9 o'clock medicine." Emily went up to the small room at the back of the house where she cared for Grandma Margaret. The lady was awake, waiting for her. "How was your evening, my dear?" her grandmother asked affectionately. Emily sat on the edge of the narrow bed and told her about the dinner, about Michael, about how kind he had been to her. Her grandmother's eyes shone as she listened. "It sounds like you met someone special," said Margaret, holding her granddaughter's hand. "Don't be silly, Grandma. People like me don't end up with people like him." "Oh, Emily, you're smart, kind, beautiful. Any man would be lucky to have you by his side." Emily smiled, but she didn't believe the kind words. She had learned from an early age that her place in the world was small, and dreaming big only brought disappointment. The next day, Emily woke up early as always to prepare the family's breakfast. She was beating eggs when the phone rang. Brandon answered it in the living room. "Hello?" He paused. "Mr. Bennett. Good morning. Emily stopped stirring the eggs, paying attention. What do you mean you want to talk to Emily? Brandon sounded surprised. I see. Hold on a moment. Brandon appeared in the kitchen with a confused expression. Emily, it's for you, that Michael Bennett guy, he said, handing her the cordless phone. With trembling hands, Emily took the device. Hello? Emily? Good morning. It's Michael. His voice sounded warm. I hope I'm not calling too early. No, not at all. I always wake up early. That's good. Listen, I was thinking, would you like to have lunch with me today? I know a restaurant with a beautiful view of the city. Emily was speechless. Was he really asking her out again? I don't know if I can. I have to take care of my grandmother and... Well, how about if I bring lunch there? We can eat in the garden and you'll be close to your grandmother. His kindness completely disarmed her. Patricia, who was listening from the kitchen door, made desperate gestures for Emily to accept. All right, agreed Emily. What time? Is noon good for you? After she hung up, Patricia approached with a strained smile. How interesting. He wants to come here, she said, as if she were planning something. Emily, when he arrives, be polite, but don't forget your place. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. At noon sharp, Michael arrived, driving a navy blue Audi himself. Emily watched him from her grandmother's bedroom window, where she was taking the lady's blood pressure. He actually came, she murmured, incredulous. Go greet him, dear, said Grandma Margaret, and put on that blue blouse that looks so beautiful on you. Emily quickly changed her clothes and went down to greet Michael. He was in the front garden, admiring the well-kept rose bushes. Hi, she said shyly. Michael turned and smiled. Emily was even more beautiful in the daylight. The blue blouse brought out her brown eyes and she had left her hair down, falling softly on her shoulders. Hi, Emily. You look beautiful, he said sincerely. She blushed and looked away. Thank you, so where would you like to eat? How about over there near those trees? It's shady here and you can hear if your grandma needs anything. They sat on the grass under an old mango tree. Michael had brought Japanese food from an expensive restaurant, but Emily didn't know how to use the chopsticks properly. Let me show you, he said, moving closer to guide her hands. His touch made Emily feel something she had never experienced before, a strange but pleasant tingling sensation, tingling. Like this. Michael held her hands, helping her pick up a piece of sushi. See how easy it is? Emily nodded, but she was more focused on his closeness than on the food itself. Michael smelled of an expensive, masculine cologne that made her dizzy. Tell me about yourself, he said after they had established a rhythm with their eating. Your family, your dreams. Emily hesitated. How could she explain that she lived like a servant in her own home, that she took care of her sick grandmother without receiving a penny from the rich family, that her only happy moments were when she managed to escape to the New York Public Library? There's not much to tell, she finally said. I live here with my grandma, and I help the family. And your parents? Emily's face closed off. Michael realized he had touched on another sore spot. They passed away when I was a child, she said softly. I'm sorry. They must have been wonderful people to have raised a daughter like you. Emily looked at him surprised. No one had ever said anything like that about her. Why are you being so kind to me? She asked suddenly. The question caught Michael off guard. Why wouldn't I be? You're an incredible person, Emily. I'm the poor niece of the family, the weird one who wears glasses and doesn't know how to behave in fancy places. Why would someone like you be interested in someone like me? Michael felt his heart tighten hearing those words. It was clear Emily had spent her whole life being told she wasn't good enough. You know what I see when I look at you, he said, gently holding her chin so she would face him. I see an intelligent, sensitive, honest woman. I see someone who makes me laugh, who makes me think, who makes me want to be a better person. Emily's eyes filled with tears behind her glasses. No one had ever spoken about her that way. You don't even really know me, she whispered. Then give me the chance to know you better. They were interrupted by a harsh voice from the porch. "Emily," shouted Patricia, "did you forget you have things to do?" Emily quickly moved away from Michael, returning to her usual submissive posture. "Sorry, I need to go," she said hurriedly. Michael stood up too, frustrated by the interruption. "It's okay. Can I call you later?" Emily hesitated, looking toward her aunt, who was watching them with a stern face. Maybe it's better if you don't." "Why not?" "It's complicated, Michael. People like us live in different worlds." He wanted to argue, but he realized Emily was genuinely uncomfortable under her aunt's gaze. "Okay. But this isn't over, Emily. I'll be back." After Michael left, Patricia came down to the garden like a fury. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" she hissed. "I wasn't doing anything, Aunt Patricia. Just talking." "Talking? You were embracing. Have you forgotten your place in this house?" Emily lowered her head, accustomed to her aunt's attacks. "No, ma'am." "Good, because that man is just playing with you. Men like him have fun with naive girls like you, and then they go back to their world. Don't fool yourself into thinking there could be anything more." Patricia's words echoed in Emily's mind for the rest of the day. While she cleaned the house, took care of her grandmother, and prepared dinner, she couldn't stop thinking about whether her aunt was right. That night, after everyone had gone to sleep, Emily was sitting in the small backyard garden where her and her grandmother's little room was located. Michael's words still warmed her heart, but Patricia's planted seeds of doubt. The home phone rang. It was almost midnight. Emily ran to answer it before it woke the whole family. "Hello?" she whispered. "Emily? It's me, Michael. Sorry for calling so late, I couldn't sleep." Her heart raced when she heard his voice. "Hi. I couldn't sleep either. Can I see you tomorrow?" Emily looked around the dark house as if someone could be listening. "I don't know if that's a good idea." "Please, just for a few hours. We can go somewhere private where you feel comfortable." The sincerity in his voice convinced her. "Okay, but it has to be far from here." "What about the New York Public Library? You said you like going there." Emily smiled in the darkness. He had paid attention to everything she'd said. 2 in the afternoon? Perfect. See you tomorrow, Emily. See you tomorrow, Michael. The next day, Emily made up an excuse about needing to buy medicine for her grandma and left the house. She took 2 buses to get to the New York Public Library, an old but charming building in the city center. Michael was already waiting, sitting on the entrance steps. When he saw her, he stood up with a huge smile. "You came," he said, relieved. "Of course I came." They entered the library and Emily led him to her favorite section, among the shelves of English literature. It was a more secluded little corner, with some study tables and old but comfortable chairs. "This is my refuge," she said, running her fingers over the book spines. "When life gets hard, I come here and forget about everything." Michael watched the loving way she touched the books, as if they were precious treasures. "It must be nice to have a place like this." "What about you? Do you have a special place?" Michael thought for a moment. "I used to think it was my office or my penthouse, but now I think it's wherever you are." The sincerity of the answer made Emily blush deeply. "Don't say things like that." "Why not, if it's true?" She turned to face the bookshelves, trying to hide her emotion. "Because people like you don't say things like that to people like me." Michael turned her to face him, holding her by the shoulders. "Emily, stop talking like that. Stop putting yourself down. Don't you see how special you are? I'm just the poor niece who lives in the back of my rich aunt and uncle's house, the weird one who takes care of my sick grandmother. You are the most interesting woman I've met in years. You're kind, intelligent, you have a beautiful soul. Why can't you see that?" Emily's eyes filled with tears. She wanted to believe his words, but a lifetime of humiliation had left deep scars. "Because no one has ever told me that before." Michael's heart broke hearing that confession. He pulled Emily into a tight hug, and she finally allowed herself to cry all the tears she had held back for years. "I'm telling you now," he whispered in her ear, "and I'll repeat it as many times as necessary until you believe it." They stayed embraced among the bookshelves, as if the world around them didn't exist. Emily had never felt so protected, so valued. "Michael," she said, pulling back a little to look at him. "Why me? You must know so many beautiful, elegant women. Because they aren't you. None of them make me laugh like you do. None of them make me want to be a better man." He gently stroked her face, carefully removing her glasses. "You are beautiful, Emily. With or without glasses." And then, there in the middle of the New York Public Library, surrounded by thousands of love stories, Michael kissed Emily for the first time. It was a soft kiss, full of tenderness and promises. Emily felt as if all the suffering of the last years had been worth it to reach that moment. When they parted, she rested her forehead against his. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Of what?" "Of waking up and finding out this is all a dream. Of you realizing you made a mistake." "That will never happen," he said firmly. "You're stuck with me for a long time." Emily laughed through her tears. "Promise?" "I promise." They spent the whole afternoon in the library, talking, reading passages from books to each other, planning future meetings. Emily felt more alive than she had ever felt. When it was time to go home, Michael insisted on walking her to near the Harrison mansion. "When do I see you again?" he asked. "I don't know. It's hard to leave the house without raising suspicions. Then I'll come to you, every day if I have to." "Michael, you don't understand. My family, they won't like it if they know we're seeing each other." "And what you want doesn't matter." The question made her thoughtful. For so long she had only thought about what others wanted, that she had forgotten her own desires. "It matters," she said finally. "And I want to see you again." "Then that's what matters." That night, Emily could barely sleep. She kept reliving every moment of the day, every word Michael had said, the taste of their first kiss. For the first time in years, she felt hopeful about the future, but the happiness was short-lived. The next day, Patricia called her for a talk in the main living room of the house. "Sit down, Emily," said her aunt, with a formal tone that didn't bode well. Emily obeyed, her hands clasped in her lap. "Yesterday you said you went to buy medicine for your grandmother, but the pharmacy said you never showed up." Emily's heart turned to ice. Her aunt had checked her story. I went to another pharmacy first, but they didn't have the medicine." "Emily, don't lie to me. Where were you?" "At the library," she admitted, seeing that pretending was useless. "Alone?" Emily hesitated. The lie was on the tip of her tongue, but she couldn't say it. "No." "With whom?" With Michael." Patricia's face transformed into a mask of anger. "I knew it. You really thought you could have something with him, didn't you?" "Aunt Patricia, it's not what you're thinking." "Not what I'm thinking." "Emily, you are so naive. That man is taking advantage of you." "He is not taking advantage of anything. He is kind, caring." "Caring." Patricia laughed bitterly. "Honey, men like Michael Bennett are not romantically interested in women like you. They might play around a little, have some fun, but in the end they always go back to their own world." "He's not like that," Emily insisted, even though her voice was trembling. "He's not." "Then why didn't he take you to public places? Why do you meet in secret?" The question hit Emily like a punch. It was true they met in more private places, but she had thought it was out of consideration for her feelings to not expose her. "Because he knew I'd be uncomfortable with too many people staring," she said weakly. "Or because he's ashamed to be seen with you," Patricia retorted cruelly. Her aunt's words planted a seed of doubt in Emily's heart. What if she was right? What if Michael was really just having fun? "I'll be clear with you, Emily," Patricia continued. "If you continue with this ridiculous little fantasy, you will harm the entire family. The Harrisons have a reputation to uphold. We cannot have our relatives being used as playthings by rich businessmen." "But I'm not—" "You will stop seeing this man, that's an order. And if he calls here, you will tell him you don't want to speak with him anymore." "I can't do that." "You can and you will, because if you don't, your grandmother will have to find another place to live. And you know very well she wouldn't survive a move like that." The threat was like a bucket of cold water. Emily knew her aunt was capable of keeping her promise. Patricia always used the love Emily felt for her grandmother as a weapon of control. "Please, Aunt Patricia," she begged, "don't do this." The choice is yours, dear. Your romantic fantasy or your grandmother's life. Emily rose from the chair on shaky legs. There was no real choice, and they both knew it. "Okay," she whispered, defeated. "Great." And Emily, "Don't even think about telling him about our conversation. If I find out you said anything, the consequences will be even worse." Emily went up to her grandmother's room with a shattered heart. The lady immediately realized something was wrong. "What is it, my dear?" Emily sat on the edge of the bed and told her everything. Her aunt's threat, the fear she felt, the impossibility of the situation. Grandma Margaret listened to everything in silence, holding her granddaughter's hand. "My dear girl," she said finally, "you can't let fear control your life forever." "But what if she carries out the threat?" "I can't risk your life, Grandma." "Emily, I've already lived my life. I've had my loves, my joys. Now it's your turn. Don't let my presence here be a prison for you." "Don't say that." Emily began to cry. "You're all I have." "Not anymore, dear. Now you have someone who loves you." "I saw how your eyes sparkled when you talked about him. Don't throw that away." "But Aunt Patricia said things. What if she's right? What if he's really just playing with me? What if she's wrong? Will you spend your whole life wondering and regretting?" Before Emily could answer, the phone rang. She ran to answer it, her heart pounding. "Hello?" "Emily. Hi. It's me." Michael's voice sounded worried. "Are you okay? You sound different." Emily looked around, making sure no one was nearby. "I'm fine," she lied. "Can I see you today?" The question she had so wanted to hear now sounded like torture. "I can't, Michael." "Okay, then tomorrow." "Not tomorrow either." There was a silence on the other end of the line. "Emily, what's going on?" "Yesterday everything was fine between us." "I need some time to think." "Think about what? About us?" Emily closed her eyes, tears flowing freely. "Maybe this is all a mistake. We're too different, Michael." "Emily, don't say that. You know our feelings are real. Feelings aren't enough. We have very different lives. You have your world, I have mine. Then let's create a new world together." The sincerity in his voice almost made Emily give in, but the image of her sick and fragile grandmother made her strengthen her resolve. "It won't work, Michael. It's better if we forget this. I'm not giving up on you, Emily. No matter what's happening, I'll find out, and we'll solve it together." "Please, Michael, don't make this harder than it already is." "Harder? Emily, explain to me what's going on. Yesterday you were in my arms, saying you wanted me. Today you're dismissing me over the phone." Emily sobbed softly, struggling to keep her voice firm. "Yesterday I was confused. Now I see everything clearly." "See what clearly?" "That we have no future together." And she hung up the phone before he could answer, collapsing in tears on the kitchen floor. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. In the days that followed, Michael called several times, but Emily refused to answer. Patricia personally answered some calls and coldly said that Emily no longer wanted to speak to him. A week later, Michael showed up at the mansion's door. Emily saw him from her grandmother's bedroom window and felt her heart race. He was there in the garden, looking up as if he knew she was watching. Patricia came out to greet him with a fake smile. "Mr. Bennet, what a surprise. Good afternoon, Mrs. Harrison. I came to speak with Emily." "I'm afraid that's not possible. Emily specifically asked not to be disturbed." "She said that?" "In so many words. Actually, she was quite embarrassed by this whole situation. I hope you understand." From her room, Emily watched the scene with a broken heart. Michael seemed genuinely hurt. "Can I at least leave a message for her?" "Of course. Tell her that I understand if she needs time, but that I'll be waiting, and that I won't give up." After he left, Emily locked herself in the bathroom and cried like she hadn't cried since she was a child. Her grandmother knocked lightly on the door. "Emily, open the door." "I can't, Grandma. I can't take this anymore." "Honey, open up, please." Reluctantly, Emily unlocked the door. Her grandmother came in and hugged her tightly. "My girl, you're destroying yourself and him too." "I'm protecting you and protecting myself. Aunt Patricia is right. He would never take a relationship with me seriously." "And what if she's wrong? What if you're throwing away your chance to be happy together?" "Then it's better to find out now than later." But inside, Emily felt like she was dying a little more each day. 2 weeks passed without any contact from Michael. Emily began to think he had really given up, just as Patricia had predicted. The pain was unbearable, but at least it confirmed her aunt was right. It was then that Brandon came home one afternoon with a strange look on his face. "Mum, you need to see this," he said, handing an elegant envelope to Patricia. Emily was polishing the dining room table and couldn't help but overhear the conversation. "What is this?" asked Patricia, opening the envelope. "An invitation for a charity dinner next Saturday. And guess who's organizing it?" Patricia read the invitation and turned pale. Michael Bennett. He invited the entire Harrison family, by name. "And according to my friend who works at the hotel where the event will be held, he's been asking about us." "Asking what?" "About our financial situation, our business, our family." Emily stopped polishing the table, paying full attention to the conversation. "That man is investigating us," said Patricia nervously. "We can't go to this dinner. We can't not go either. It would be a clear insult, and if he really is investigating our family, we need to keep up appearances." "And Emily?" "The invitation mentions all family members, including her." Emily felt her stomach turn. Seeing Michael again would be torture, but at the same time a part of her was desperate to be near him once more. That night, Patricia went to the room at the back of the house. "Emily, we received an invitation for a dinner on Saturday. You're coming with us." "I don't want to go, Aunt Patricia. It's not a choice, it's a family obligation, and you will behave appropriately. No intimate conversations, no longing looks. You will be polite but distant." "I can't do that." "You can and you will. And remember the consequences if you don't do what's been agreed upon." On Saturday night, Emily wore the same grey dress from the first time. She didn't have any others for special occasions. Patricia looked her over critically. "This is fine. Simple and discreet as it should be." The family arrived at the hotel in style. Patricia had rented a limousine to keep up appearances, but Emily knew that beneath all that elegance, they were going through financial difficulties. The ballroom was even more elegant than the first time. Emily scanned the room for Michael and found him near the stage, talking with other business people. He looked impeccable in a black suit, but Emily noticed he seemed more serious, less smiley than the last time. When he saw her, their eyes met across the crowded room. Emily felt as if the world had stopped. Michael looked at her intensely for a few seconds, then politely waved to the entire Harrison family. During the cocktail hour, Emily tried to keep her distance from him, but it was difficult. Several times she felt his gaze on her. When she finally worked up the courage to look in his direction, Michael was talking to an older man she didn't know. "Emily." She turned and came face to face with Michael. He had approached silently. "Hi," she said softly, avoiding direct eye contact. "You look beautiful," he said simply. "Thank you." An awkward silence fell between them. "How have you been?" Michael asked. "Fine, and you?" "Liar," he said gently. "You're not fine, I can see it in your eyes." Emily finally looked at him and almost got lost in the intensity of his gaze. "Michael, don't what? Can't I worry about you? Can't I miss you? Please don't make this harder." "Emily, I don't know what happened to make you change your mind so quickly, but I know your feelings for me were real. What I felt in your kisses, in your embraces, couldn't have been fake." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "Sometimes feelings aren't enough, but they can be the beginning of everything. Let me fight for us, Emily." Before she could answer, Patricia appeared beside them with a forced smile. "Mr. Bennett, what a pleasure to see you again." "Mrs. Harrison," Michael greeted politely, but Emily noticed the coldness in his voice. "Emily, come with me. I want to introduce you to some people." Emily had no choice but to follow her aunt, leaving Michael alone, but she felt his gaze on her back the entire way. During dinner, Emily was deliberately seated far from Michael. She tried to focus on the food and the conversations around her, but she couldn't stop looking in his direction. When it was time for the speeches, Michael took the stage. Emily felt her heart race. "Good evening, everyone," he began, his voice steady. "Thank you for being here tonight to support our campaign for underprivileged children." He spoke about the importance of charity, about how small gestures can transform lives. But Emily had the impression that some of his words were specifically directed at her. "Sometimes," Michael said, looking directly at Emily, "we let fear stop us from doing the right thing. We let the opinions of others stop us from following our hearts. But I believe that true love overcomes any obstacle, any social difference, any prejudice." Emily felt as if he was speaking directly to her. Her cheeks flushed, and she realized other people had also noticed the intensity of Michael's gaze directed at her. Patricia discreetly nudged Emily's arm. "Stop looking at him like that," she whispered irritably. After the speech, there was a musical performance, followed by a charity auction. Emily tried to focus on anything to avoid thinking about Michael. As the evening was winding down, Michael approached the Harrison table again. "I hope you enjoyed the evening," he said diplomatically. "It was wonderful," Patricia replied. "A very well-organized event." "Thank you." "Emily," he turned directly to her. "May I speak with you for a minute? In private?" Patricia stepped forward. "I'm afraid Emily is very tired." "I can speak for myself," Emily said suddenly, surprising everyone. "Just a minute," she agreed. They moved to a more secluded corner of the ballroom. "Emily, I can't take this anymore," Michael said, taking her hands. "Tell me what's really going on. What made you change your mind about us?" Emily looked back and saw Patricia watching their every move. "No one made me change my mind," she lied. "I just realized we don't have a future together." "Why not?" "Because we're too different. You live in a world I'll never be able to keep up with. But I don't want you to change. I love you exactly as you are." The declaration hit Emily like a bolt of lightning. He had said he loved her. "Michael, I love you, Emily, completely, unconditionally. And I know you love me too. Even if I did love you, it wouldn't change our situation. It would change everything. Love changes everything." Emily shook her head, fighting back her own tears. "You'll get tired of me. You'll realize you deserve someone better. There is no one better for me than you. Michael, please, stop making this harder than it already is." "So you admit it's hard for you too?" Emily couldn't deny it. The pain in her eyes was evident. "I admit it. But sometimes we have to make difficult choices. What if I tell you I won't give up, that I'll fight for you until you realize we're made for each other? What if I ask you not to leave me alone?" Michael studied her for a long moment. "Do you really want me to give up on you?" Emily closed her eyes, gathering the strength to lie once more. "I do." When she opened her eyes, she saw the deep pain on Michael's face. She almost gave in, almost told him the whole truth, but the image of her fragile grandmother made her stand firm. "Okay," he said finally. "If that's what you want, I'll respect it." He turned to leave, but stopped and looked at her one more time. "I just want you to know that these were the happiest days of my life, and that no matter what happens, I will always love you." And he left, leaving Emily shattered in the middle of the elegant hall. The trip back home was tense. Patricia was satisfied, but Emily was in a state of shock. "You did the right thing," her aunt said when they got home. "Now he'll leave you alone and you can go back to your normal life." But Emily knew her life would never be normal again. Something had broken inside her, something that might never be repaired. That night, she sat by her grandmother's bedside and told her everything that had happened. "He said he loves me, Grandma," she sobbed, "and I sent him away." Her grandmother held her hand tightly. "My dear, you did what you thought was right, but answer me one thing. Do you feel at peace with your decision?" Emily shook her head. "No, I feel like I've torn out my own heart." "Then perhaps it was the wrong decision. But what about the consequences? What if Aunt Patricia carries out her threats?" "Emily, I'm not going to live forever, but you have your whole life ahead of you. Don't waste your chances to be happy because of me. Don't say that. It's the truth, dear. And you know what? I would be much more at ease knowing you have someone who loves you to take care of you. Emily cried in her grandmother's arms until she fell asleep right there in the chair next to the bed. The following days were pure torture. Emily found herself hoping the phone would ring, that Michael would appear at the door, that somehow he would keep fighting for her. But he had kept his word. He didn't call again, didn't show up, didn't give any sign of life. Patricia was visibly relieved and went back to treating Emily with her usual coldness, but without the additional hostility of recent times. A week after the dinner, Emily was in the garden hanging laundry on the line when she heard raised voices coming from the house. She approached the living room window to listen better. "That's impossible," Patricia was shouting into the phone. "There must be some mistake." Brandon was next to his mother with a worried expression. "Mum, what is it?" Patricia hung up the phone abruptly. "It was the bank. Our line of credit has been cancelled." "Cancelled? What do you mean?" "They said they received information about our true financial situation and can no longer maintain the credit." Emily felt a chill run down her spine. Could it be a coincidence? "What information?" asked Brandon. "I don't know. But someone had been investigating our finances, our businesses, our family." Emily's mind went back to the conversation she had overheard about Michael investigating the family. Had he discovered the Harrisons' financial difficulties, and was he using that information? In the following days, the situation only got worse. Other creditors started demanding payment. Suppliers suspended deliveries. The Harrison family, which had always maintained a facade of wealth, was being exposed. Patricia blamed Emily for the entire situation. "This is all your fault," she shouted one morning. "That man is getting revenge on us because you rejected him." "Aunt Patricia, I don't know what you're talking about." "You don't? Then why is it that right now, after you broke up with him, our lives have turned into this hell?" Emily didn't know what to say. Could Michael be capable of this? Could the kind and caring man she had known be capable of taking revenge on an entire family? The financial situation deteriorated rapidly. Patricia had to fire the few remaining staff. Brandon had to sell the car. Madison cancelled the trip abroad she had planned. And worst of all, Patricia started talking about selling the house. "It's the only way to pay off the debts," she said at a family meeting from which Emily was excluded, but which she listened to hidden behind the door. "And where will we live?" asked Madison. "We'll have to move into something smaller, much smaller." "And Emily's grandmother?" There was a heavy silence. "We can no longer afford her medication," Patricia said coldly. "She'll have to go to a public nursing home." Emily had to lean against the wall to keep from fainting. Everything was falling apart, and she couldn't stop wondering if Michael was really behind it all. That night she made a decision. She would go find Michael and discover the truth. If he was taking revenge on the family because of her, she would do anything to make him stop. The next day, Emily lied to the family, saying she was going to the pharmacy, and took 2 buses to the business district where Michael's office was located. The building was imposing, all glass and steel, very different from any place she had ever been. At the reception, an elegant woman looked her up and down with poorly disguised contempt. "How can I help you?" "I'd like to speak with Michael Bennett." "Mr. Bennett is in a meeting. Do you have an appointment, miss?" "No, but it's urgent. Tell him Emily Carter wants to speak with him." The receptionist made an internal call, and Emily noticed the surprise in her voice. "He said he can see you in 5 minutes." Emily waited in a luxurious waiting room with expensive magazines and sparkling water. Everything there screamed success and sophistication. She felt more out of place than ever. "Emily." She turned and saw Michael standing in his office doorway. He was impeccable as always, but Emily noticed he looked tired. "Hi," she said, standing up nervously. "Please, come in." Michael's office was huge, with a stunning view of the city. Emily had never seen so much opulence in one place. "Have a seat," he said, pointing to a leather armchair. Emily obeyed but sat on the edge of the chair, ready to run. "What brings you here?" asked Michael, sitting behind the imposing desk. The physical distance between them seemed to symbolize the emotional distance Emily had created. "I need to ask you something." "Go ahead. Are you getting revenge on my family?" The question seemed to take Michael by surprise. "What do you mean?" "Our financial situation. Suddenly everything started going wrong. Creditors, suppliers, all at the same time, and it started right after you dismissed me." "Yes." Michael leaned back in his chair, studying Emily's face. "And you believe I would be capable of that?" "I don't know what to believe anymore. Emily, look me in the eyes and answer. Do you really believe I would harm you or your family?" Emily stared at him and saw the same sincerity as always in his eyes. "No," she admitted softly. "But then why?" "Why what?" "Why your family is having financial problems. You investigated our family. Brandon said you were asking questions about us." "It's true. I did investigate." Emily's heart sank. "Why?" "Because I wanted to understand the family of the woman I love better, and because some things didn't make sense." "What things?" "How a supposedly rich family treats a niece like a servant. How that same niece can't afford to go to college or buy decent clothes." Emily blushed, but Michael continued. "And you know what I found out? That your family has been bankrupt for years, that they maintain a facade of wealth at the expense of loans and credit cards, and that you work like a slave to pay for your grandmother's medicine while they spend money they don't have. How did you—" "I have contacts, people who know things. And when I started investigating, I found out your family is a house of cards about to collapse." "But you didn't do anything to speed up that process?" "Emily, I didn't need to do anything. Their unsustainable situation was going to blow up sooner or later." Emily felt confused. If Michael hadn't caused the family's financial problems, why the coincidence? So it really was just a coincidence? Not exactly. Emily looked at him without understanding. "One of the banks that was sustaining your family's debts belongs to a friend of mine. When he asked for my opinion about renewing the Harrisons' credit, I told him the truth, that they had no way to pay." "So I didn't make anything up. I just didn't lie to protect them. Like they lied to me about you." "What do you mean?" Michael stood up and went to the window, turning his back to Emily. "Do you really believe I gave up on you so easily? That I accepted your rejection without question?" "You seemed to accept it." "Because I found out the truth." Emily felt her heart race. "What truth?" "That your aunt threatened to send your grandmother away if you kept seeing me. That she told you I was just playing with you. That she used your love for your grandmother to blackmail you." Emily turned pale. "How did he know all that?" "How?" "Your cousin Madison has a very loose tongue when she drinks too much. And she drank a lot at a mutual friend's birthday party last week." Emily felt nauseated. Madison had told him everything? She told you. She told me that the whole family planned to use you to humiliate me, that your aunt sent you to that first dinner, hoping I would be embarrassed by the weird niece. She told me about the threats, about how they forced you to break up with me. Tears began to stream down Emily's face. "Michael, you don't need to explain anything to me. I understand why you did what you did. You understand. You protected someone you love. I can't blame you for that." Michael turned to her, and Emily saw that his eyes were also moist. "But it hurt me deeply to know that you didn't trust me enough to tell me the truth. I wanted to tell you, but I was afraid." "Afraid of what?" "That I wouldn't help you. That I wouldn't find a solution." Emily didn't know what to say. "Emily, I would have moved mountains to solve any problem that stood in the way of our happiness. I would have bought a house for your grandmother. I would have paid for all her medicine. I would have faced your family. Anything. I didn't want you to see me as a gold digger. A gold digger. Emily, you rejected a rich man to protect a sick old lady. If that doesn't prove you're not a gold digger, I don't know what would." Emily broke down in tears. "I ruined everything, didn't I?" Michael slowly approached her. "No, you didn't ruin anything. But we hurt each other unnecessarily." "I missed you so much," she confessed between sobs. I missed you too." They stared at each other for a long moment, all the pain and longing showing in their eyes. "And now?" Emily asked quietly. "Now it depends on you. Do you still love me?" "I never stopped loving you." "Then let's start over. No lies, no secrets, no fears." "But what about my family? My grandmother?" "I've already taken care of that." Emily looked at him confused. "What do you mean?" Michael went back behind the desk and picked up some documents. "I bought a small but comfortable house in a quiet neighborhood. There's a bedroom on the ground floor, perfect for your grandmother. And I hired a nurse to take care of her when you're not there." Emily was speechless. "You did that?" "I did. And I also deposited money into an account I opened in your name to cover all medicine and medical care expenses." "Michael, I can't accept this." "Yes, you can, because it's not charity. It's love." He approached again and knelt beside her armchair. "Emily, I love you. I love your intelligence, your kindness, your generous heart. I want to take care of you and the people you love. I want us to be a family." "A family?" "Marry me, Emily." The question echoed through the elegant office like thunder. "Marry me. Be my wife, my partner, my best friend. Let me love you for the rest of my life." Emily couldn't believe what she was hearing. "But are you sure? You won't regret it?" "I'm more sure of this than anything else in my life." He took a small box from his pocket and opened it, revealing a simple but elegant engagement ring. "It's not the biggest or most expensive ring in the jewelry store. I chose one that suited you. Delicate but strong, simple but precious." Emily looked at the ring through her tears. "It's perfect. So is that a yes?" Emily looked into his eyes and saw all the love, all the sincerity, all the promise of a happy future. "It's a yes." Michael slid the ring onto her finger and kissed her gently. "Now let's go pick up your grandmother and tell her the news." On the way home, Emily felt as if she were floating. Michael drove beside her, holding her hand whenever possible. "What about my family?" she asked. "They're going to be furious." "Let them be. You don't owe them anything anymore. In fact, they owe you a lot." When they arrived at the Harrison mansion, they found a tense atmosphere. There were boxes scattered around the living room, and Patricia was arguing on the phone with someone. Emily and Michael came in through the back door, straight to her grandmother's room. "Grandma, I have a surprise for you," said Emily, sitting on the edge of the bed. "What surprise, dear?" "Michael asked me to marry him, and I said yes." Grandma Margaret's eyes lit up. "What joy," she said, opening her arms to hug Emily. "I knew you two would end up together." "And there's more," Emily continued. "He bought a house for the three of us. You'll have your own room, a nurse to help with your care." "My dear girl," interrupted her grandmother, her eyes full of tears. "Finally, you're going to be happy." Michael approached the bed. "Mrs. Margaret, I hope you'll accept me as your grandson." "I accept with great pleasure, my boy. Thank you for taking care of my granddaughter. She's the one who takes care of me." The tender moment was interrupted by shouts coming from the main living room. "Where is she?" It was Patricia's voice. "Emily!" "We'd better go out there," said Michael. "Let's settle this once and for all." They left the room and found Patricia, Brandon, and Madison in the living room, surrounded by moving boxes. When Patricia saw Michael, her expression changed completely. "What is he doing here?" "He came to ask me to marry him," said Emily, with more firmness in her voice than she felt. "Marriage!" shouted Patricia. "You can't get married. You have obligations to this family." "What obligations?" asked Michael coldly. "She worked like a slave for you for years without getting anything in return. She got room and board, in exchange for taking care of a sick woman 24 hours a day, cleaning a huge house, cooking for the whole family, and putting up with constant humiliation." Patricia turned red with anger. "That's none of your business. Starting today, it is. Emily is my fiancée, and you will never treat her badly again." "Your fiancée?" Brandon laughed bitterly. "She's interested in your money, can't you see?" Michael took a threatening step toward Brandon. "Watch what you say about my future wife." "Future wife?" Madison laughed. "When you get tired of her, you'll go back to your little playboy world." "You know nothing about me or about her," said Michael, controlling his anger. "But I'll make one thing clear. Emily is not staying in this house for one more day. She and her grandmother are coming with me right now." "The grandmother too?" asked Patricia, surprised. "Of course. Did you think I would separate them?" Patricia seemed to think quickly. With the grandmother leaving too, she wouldn't have that blackmail card anymore. "Well, maybe it's for the best. We can't afford to support 2 extra people anymore." The cruelty of the words hit Emily like a slap. Even after everything she had done for the family, she was still seen as a burden. "Then it's settled," said Michael. "Emily, let's pack your things and your grandmother's." There wasn't much to pack. Emily had few clothes, some books, and her grandmother's medications. Everything fit into 2 small suitcases. While Michael helped carry the grandmother to the car, Patricia made one last attempt to manipulate Emily. "You're going to regret this," she said in a low tone. "Men like him don't marry women like you. He'll use you and then discard you." "Scarred." "Maybe," replied Emily, surprising her aunt. "But I'd rather risk being happy than be sure of being unhappy." And she left the Harrison mansion for the last time without looking back. The house Michael had bought was small compared to the mansion, but it was cozy and full of light. Grandma Margaret's room was on the ground floor and had a beautiful view of a small garden. "It's perfect," said Grandma Margaret when she saw the room. "And this is our room," said Michael, taking Emily upstairs to see it. It was a spacious room with a queen-size bed and a closet that seemed huge to someone who had always kept her clothes in an old dresser. "Michael, all of this is too much," said Emily. "For me it's not. For me it's exactly what you deserve." He pulled her close to the window where you could see the whole city. "From now on, everything will be different. No fears, no lies, no one controlling our happiness." "Are you sure you won't get tired of me?" Michael turned her to face him. "Emily, how many times do I have to repeat it? I love you not out of pity, not on impulse, not on a whim. I love you because you are exactly who I've been looking for my whole life without knowing it. And what if I don't know how to be a businessman's wife? What if I make a fool of myself at fancy parties? Then I'll be by your side always. And you know what? Half the people at those fancy parties are much bigger fools than you." Emily laughed through her tears. "I love you so much, and I love you even more." They kissed there at the window of what would be their new home, as the sun set over the city. For the first time in her life, Emily felt she truly belonged somewhere. The wedding preparations were simple, just as Emily had always dreamed. A small ceremony at the neighborhood church where they now lived, followed by lunch at a cozy restaurant. Grandma Margaret was radiant, wearing a new dress Michael had insisted on buying for her. The nurse he had hired, Mrs. Helen, a kind woman in her 60s, had become a dear friend. The Harrison family was not invited. Emily had decided she didn't want to start her new life surrounded by people who had only brought her sadness. On the wedding day, as she got ready, Emily looked in the mirror and barely recognized the woman she saw there. The wedding dress, simple yet elegant, the delicate makeup, her hair pulled back into a low bun. She was beautiful, and more importantly, she was happy. "You look beautiful, dear," said Grandma Margaret, entering the room. "Thank you, Grandma, for everything." "For what?" "For never letting me give up on my dreams, for teaching me that I deserve to be loved." "You always deserved it, my dear. You just needed to find someone who could see that." At the church, Michael was waiting at the altar with a smile that lit up his entire face. When Emily began walking toward him, he felt his eyes fill with tears. There was the woman who had completely changed his life, the one who had taught him what true love was, the one who made him want to be a better man every single day. "Are you two ready for this?" the priest asked with a warm smile. "More than ready," they replied in unison, laughing at the unintentional synchronization. The ceremony was moving. When it was time for the vows, Michael held Emily's hands and spoke from the heart. "Emily, you taught me that true love doesn't care about social class, doesn't care about appearances, and doesn't calculate benefits. You taught me that love is about finding someone who makes you want to be the best version of yourself. I promise to love you in every moment of our lives, to protect you from anyone who tries to diminish you, and to remind you every day of how special you are. Emily, her voice choked with emotion, replied, "Michael, you taught me that I deserve to be loved, that I can dream big, that I can be happy. You showed me a world I didn't know existed, but more importantly, you showed me that I can be a part of that world by being exactly who I am. I promise to love you with all the intensity of my heart, to support you in all your dreams, and to build with you a family based on true love." When the priest said, "You may kiss the bride," Michael gently held Emily's face and kissed her with all the passion and tenderness he felt. "Now we are a family," he whispered against her lips. "The happiest family in the world," she whispered back. The lunch reception was lively, full of laughter and stories. Michael had only invited his closest friends, and Emily discovered they were simple, caring people, nothing like the snobbish elite she had imagined. During the party, Mrs. Helen approached Emily. "Dear, I want you to know that taking care of your grandmother isn't a job for me. It's a pleasure. She is a wonderful lady. Thank you for taking such good care of her. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be part of this beautiful family you are building." That word, family, warmed Emily's heart. Finally, she had a real family, based on love and not obligation. At the end of the party, when it was just the four of them, Emily, Michael, Grandma Margaret and Mrs. Helen, sitting in the garden of the new house, Emily felt complete. "Thank you," she said to Michael. "For what?" "For insisting, for fighting for us when I didn't have the courage. Thank you for giving me the chance to prove that our love is real." Grandma Margaret, sitting in a comfortable chair with a blanket over her shoulders, watched the couple with a serene smile. "You know," she said, "this is the first time in 20 years that I've seen Emily truly happy." 20 years? Michael asked. Since her parents passed away, she was a cheerful child, full of dreams. After they were gone, it was as if she had learned that she didn't deserve to be happy. Emily held her grandmother's hand. "But now I've learned that I do deserve it." "And you deserve much more than you can imagine," said the grandmother. That night, Emily and Michael were finally alone in their room as husband and wife. There was no rush, no fear, only a lot of love. "Are you happy?" asked Michael, lying beside her. "Happier than I ever thought possible." "This is just the beginning," he said, kissing her forehead. "We're going to be happy for a long time." "Forever," she corrected. "Forever," he agreed. In the months that followed, Emily's life changed completely. Michael enrolled her in a private college for English literature, fulfilling a dream she had buried long ago. "Are you sure?" she asked when he showed her the enrollment papers. "I am. You're going to be an amazing teacher. But what if I can't balance my studies with the house, with you, with my grandmother? Emily, you're not the only one responsible for everything anymore. Mrs. Helen takes care of your grandmother during the day. I help with the house. You just need to focus on your studies and on being happy." College was a new world for Emily. At first, she felt out of place, but little by little she made friends and discovered her passion for literature. Her teachers were impressed with her self-taught knowledge and dedication. Emily flourished in the academic environment like a plant that finally finds fertile soil. One day, coming home from college, she found an envelope in the mailbox. She immediately recognized Madison's handwriting. It was a wedding invitation. Her cousin had managed to secure a lucrative marriage with an older businessman, and apparently wanted to show off her catch to Emily. "So do you want to go?" asked Michael when she showed him the invitation. "I don't know. Part of me is curious to see how they're doing. Another part doesn't want to relive bad feelings. It's your decision. But if you decide to go, I'll go with you. They're going to try to humiliate us. Let them try." Emily decided to go. She wanted to prove to herself that she had overcome the past. Madison's wedding was held at an expensive social club, full of ostentation and empty formality. Emily felt out of place in the setting, but Michael's presence by her side reassured her. The Harrison family received them with polite coldness. It was obvious their financial situation had stabilized somehow, probably through Madison's advantageous marriage. During the reception, Brandon approached them. "Emily, you look different," he said, as if it were difficult to admit. "Different how?" "More beautiful, more confident." That's what happens when you're happy, she replied simply. You really married him for love, didn't you? Not for the money. Emily looked at Michael, who was talking with other people a few feet away. I would have married him if he were poor. The money never mattered. I didn't understand that before, admitted Brandon. I thought everyone had a price. Everyone has dreams. Mine was to be loved for who I really am. Patricia approached them, elegant but visibly tense. Emily, I hope you're happy, she said, with a tone that didn't sound entirely sincere. I'm very happy, thank you. Is your grandmother well? She's doing great. Mrs. Helen takes very good care of her. That's good. An awkward silence fell between them. Aunt Patricia, Emily said finally, I forgive you. Forgive me for what? The humiliations, the blackmail, years of cruel treatment. I forgive it all. Patricia seemed surprised. Why? Because holding a grudge only hurts the one who holds it. And I'm too happy now to carry that weight. Emily, I hope you find happiness too, truly. And she walked away, leaving Patricia alone with her regrets. On the drive back home, Michael held Emily's hand. How do you feel? At peace. Finally, at peace with my past. They realized how much they lost you. It doesn't matter anymore. I have everything I need now. Which is? You, my grandmother safe, my studies, our little house, our makeshift but perfect family. Our makeshift family is going to grow, Michael said suddenly. Emily looked at him, not understanding. What do you mean? Michael stopped the car and turned to her with a huge smile. How would you feel about being a mother? A mother? Michael, we're still not trying, I know. But how would you feel? Emily thought for a moment. The idea of raising children with Michael, of having a complete family, filled her with joy. I would feel like the happiest woman in the world. So how about we start trying? Now? Not right this second, he laughed. But how about we stop preventing it? Emily laughed too. You want to have children with me? I want a dozen children with you. A dozen? Hold on. Okay, half a dozen then. 2, 3 at most. Deal. And they kissed right there in the car, planning the future full of possibilities that lay ahead of them. 6 months later, Emily discovered she was pregnant. The news left her both radiant and terrified at the same time. What if I don't know how to be a mother? She asked Michael. You took care of your grandmother your whole life with so much affection. You're going to be a wonderful mother. And what if our child asks about my family? We'll tell the truth. That sometimes people don't know how to appreciate the good things they have in life. And that's why he or she was able to find a family that loves them unconditionally. The pregnancy went smoothly. Grandma Margaret was delighted at the prospect of being a great-grandmother, and Mrs. Helen got so excited she was already knitting baby clothes. It's going to be a boy, the grandmother said one day. How do you know? A great-grandmother's intuition. And she was right. Ethan was born on a sunny spring morning, a healthy, beautiful baby, welcomed with tears of joy. He's perfect, said Michael, holding his son for the first time. He looks just like his father, said Emily, tired but radiant. He has his mother's smile, he corrected. Grandma Margaret met her great-grandson at the hospital and cried with emotion. Now I can go in peace, she said. Don't say that, Grandma, Emily pleaded. Ethan needs to get to know his great-grandmother. And he will. But now I know you are complete, that you are a real family. Ethan brought even more joy to the house. Joy. He was a calm, smiling baby who charmed everyone around him. Emily discovered that being a mother came more naturally to her than she had imagined. All those years taking care of her grandmother had prepared her for the loving care a child requires. Michael was a present and affectionate father. He woke up in the middle of the night to help with feedings, changed diapers without complaining, and spent hours playing with the baby. Are you fulfilled? He asked one night as they watched Ethan sleep. Completely. I have the husband of my dreams, a beautiful son, my grandmother is cared for, I'm in college. It's everything I ever wanted without even knowing I could want it. And I have the family I always dreamed of. A wife who loves me for who I am, not for what I have. A beautiful son. An adoptive grandmother who teaches me about life every day. We are blessed. We are. 2 years passed in complete happiness. Emily graduated with honours in English literature and got a job at a private school near home. Ethan grew up healthy and happy, and Grandma Margaret, despite her advanced age, remained lucid and affectionate. One afternoon, Emily came home from school and found unusual activity in the house. Mrs. Helen was on the phone with someone, speaking quietly. "What happened?" asked Emily. "Your grandmother isn't feeling well. Nothing serious, but I called the doctor." Emily ran to her grandmother's room and found her in bed, pale but conscious. "Grandma, how do you feel?" "Tired, dear. Very tired." The doctor arrived shortly after and examined the elderly woman. He spoke privately with Emily and Michael. "There isn't much we can do," he said gently. "Her heart is very fragile. It's a matter of time." "How much time?" asked Michael. "It's hard to say. It could be weeks, it could be months. But you should prepare yourselves." That night, Emily sat by her grandmother's bedside. "Grandma, the doctor said—" "I know, dear, I feel in my heart that the time has come. I don't want to lose you. You will never lose me. I will always be with you in your heart, in your memories, in the love you have for your son." "I'm so afraid." "Of what, my dear?" "Of not being able to manage without you. All through these difficult years, you were my strength. Now you have your own strength. You have a husband who loves you, a son who needs you, a beautiful life ahead of you. You don't need an old lady to tell you that you deserve to be happy anymore. I will always need you, and I will always be here," said the grandmother, touching Emily's heart. "Right here inside." Grandma Margaret stayed with them for 3 more weeks. They were 3 precious weeks, full of conversations, memories, and lots of love. On the last night, she called Emily and Michael together. "I want to thank you," she said in a weak voice, "for giving me a family in my final years, for letting me know my great-grandson, for proving that true love exists." "Thank you for never giving up on me," said Emily, holding her grandmother's hand. "Thank you for teaching me what family means," said Michael. "Take care of each other, love each other every day, and be happy, very happy." In the early hours of that morning, Grandma Margaret passed away peacefully, in her sleep. Emily woke up and realized her breathing had stopped. She cried a lot, but it was a cry of longing, not despair. The funeral was simple, just as Grandma had always wanted. Many neighbors came, as everyone had grown fond of the kind lady who walked around the neighborhood with her great-grandson. "She died happy," said Mrs. Helen. "You could see it in her smile every day." "She lived to see our family formed," said Emily. "It was all she wanted." In the months that followed, Emily missed her grandmother terribly. But gradually, the longing turned into gratitude for all the years they had had together. Michael was her safe harbor during the grief, and Ethan, now 2 years old, brought joy even in the most difficult moments. "Mommy sad?" the little boy would ask when he saw Emily crying. "Mommy misses great-grandma," she would explain. "She in heaven?" "Yes, my love, watching over us from there." "Then no need to cry, she okay?" The child's simplicity helped Emily deal with the pain. 2 years after Grandma's passing, Emily discovered she was pregnant again. This time, it was a girl. "What should we name her?" asked Michael. "Margaret," Emily replied without hesitation. "In honor of Grandma. Margaret Bennett. A beautiful name. She will grow up hearing stories about the great-grandmother she never met, but who loved her even before she was born." Margaret was born on a fall afternoon, a calm baby, just as her brother had been. Ethan, now 4 years old, was enchanted with his little sister. "She's so tiny," he said, observing the baby. "So you were like that when you were born?" explained Emily. "Can I take care of her?" "You can help Mommy and Daddy take care of her." The house became even fuller of joy with Margaret's arrival. Michael divided his time between business and family, but always prioritized moments at home. "Sometimes I can't believe this is my life," Emily said one night, watching Michael feed Margaret a bottle while Ethan played on the rug. "Why?" A few years ago, I was living like a servant in other people's houses, with no expectations for the future, no love. Now I have all this. You always deserved all this. But I needed you to show me. And you showed me what's really important in life, which is family, true love, simplicity, happiness in the small moments. Emily smiled, watching her children and her husband, her family. We know we are blessed. We know, and we will never forget that. When Margaret turned one, Emily had an unexpected surprise. She got a call from Brandon. Emily? It's me, Brandon. Hi, Brandon. Is everything okay? Can I talk to you? In person? Emily hesitated, but her curiosity was greater. Of course. Where? Can I come to your house? Brandon arrived on a Saturday afternoon, visibly nervous. Michael was home and greeted him politely, but with some reserve. Thank you for having me, said Brandon, sitting down in the living room. How can we help you? Asked Michael. Actually, I came to apologize, and to ask for advice. Emily and Michael looked at each other in surprise. Apologize for what? Asked Emily. For all the years I treated you badly, for all the humiliations, all the times I agreed with my mother's cruelties, for taking part in the plan to use you to humiliate Michael. Brandon, let me finish, please. These last few years have made me think a lot. I saw how you built a beautiful family, how you found happiness, and I realized I've spent my whole life being petty and jealous. And the advice you want? I met someone, a wonderful woman, but she is simple, like you were. And my family is reacting the same way they reacted to you. Emily understood immediately. And you want to know how to handle it? I want to know how to find the courage to stand up to them, like you and Michael did. Emily looked at Michael, who gestured his approval. Sit here, Brandon, she said, pointing to the armchair next to hers. I'm going to tell you something. Courage isn't about not being afraid. Courage is doing what's right, despite the fear. I'm very afraid of my family's reaction. And her? Does she love you? She does, and I love her. More than I thought it was possible to love someone. Then you already have the most important thing. We'll figure out the rest. How? By showing your family that you respect each other, love each other, make each other happy. If they can't see that, the problem is theirs, not yours. Brandon listened attentively as Emily and Michael shared their experiences, their fears, their victories. One last thing, said Michael as Brandon was leaving. No matter what your family says or does, never let them make her doubt her worth. Women like Emily, like your girlfriend, are rare treasures in this world. I'll remember that. After Brandon left, Emily became thoughtful. Do you think we did the right thing by helping him? I do. People can change, Emily. And if he truly loves this woman, he deserves a chance to be happy too. A few months later, Brandon called to say he had gotten married. His family had protested at first, but ended up accepting it when they realized his wife was a lovely person. Thank you for everything, he said. You saved my relationship and maybe my life. Everyone deserves a chance to be happy, replied Emily, even those who weren't nice to you in the past. Especially those, because it means they understood they were wrong. The years passed in harmony and happiness. Ethan and Margaret grew up in a house full of love, security, and affection. Emily became a respected teacher, and Michael expanded his business while always keeping family values first. When Ethan turned 10, Emily and Michael decided to tell him the story of how they met. Did Daddy fall in love with Mommy on the first date? Asked the boy, enchanted. He did, confirmed Michael. Even with everyone saying we were too different. And Mommy? Mommy was afraid to believe she deserved to be loved, admitted Emily. But Daddy taught me that we do deserve it. And now we're the happiest family in the world, added Margaret, who was 8. We really are, the parents agreed. One Sunday afternoon the family was gathered in the garden when Mrs. Helen brought a letter. It came in the mail, she said. It's for Emily. Emily recognized Patricia's handwriting. It had been years since I had any contact with the family. What do you think they want? Asked Michael. Emily opened the letter and read silently. Her expression began to change. "What is it?" asked Michael, concerned. "Madison is going through a difficult divorce. She was left with nothing. And Patricia is sick. Cancer. I'm so sorry. She's asking for help, not financial. She wants to talk to me." "Do you want to talk to her?" Emily thought for a long moment. "I do. Not for her, but for me. To close this chapter for good." 2 days later, Emily went to visit Patricia in the hospital. She found her very thin and fragile, nothing like the authoritarian woman she had once been. "You came," said Patricia, her eyes moist. "I did. Thank you. I didn't know if you would come." "I didn't know if I would come either," admitted Emily. "But here I am." "How are the children?" "Beautiful, healthy, happy. And you?" "Very happy." "I know. Brandon told me. He said you helped him when the family was being difficult with his wife. Brandon has changed for the better, and I haven't, until now." Emily sat in the chair next to the bed. "Changed in what way?" "I understood how cruel I was to you, how I wasted a wonderful niece because of pure prejudice and envy." "Envy?" "Envy because you had something I never had, the ability to love unconditionally, to be loved for who you truly are." "Aunt Patricia, I treated you poorly for years because deep down I knew you were a better person than I was, and that bothered me." Emily felt tears in her eyes. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because when you know you might not have much time left, things become clearer. And because I want to die in peace knowing I asked for forgiveness for my mistakes. I had already forgiven you. Even after everything I did. I forgave you because holding a grudge only hurts the person holding it, and because I am too happy to carry resentments." Patricia cried silently for a few minutes. "Could you bring the children to meet me? Just once?" Emily hesitated. She didn't want to expose her children to difficult situations, but she saw the sincerity in her aunt's remorse. "I can bring them, but they don't know our story. To them, you are just an aunt who is sick. That's all I deserve." The next day, Emily brought Ethan and Margaret to meet their great-aunt. The children were affectionate and polite as they had been raised to be. "You are beautiful," said Patricia, her eyes shining, "the spitting image of your parents." "Did you know our mom before?" asked Ethan. "I did. Your mother was always very special." "Our mom is the best mom in the world," declared Margaret. "Yes, she is," agreed Patricia. "And you are very lucky to have such a beautiful family." After the visit, Emily said goodbye to her aunt. "Thank you for letting me meet them," said Patricia. "Thank you for finally being honest with me. Emily, do you think there is hope of salvation for people like me? There is hope for anyone who recognizes their mistakes and sincerely wants to change. Even after a lifetime of cruelty? My grandmother always said it's never too late to start over, even if there's only a little time left." Patricia smiled for the first time in years. "Your grandmother was wise." "She was, and I know she would be happy knowing we made peace." "I am happy too." 2 weeks later, Patricia passed away peacefully in her sleep. Emily attended the funeral and was surprised to see how few people were there. Brandon approached her after the ceremony. "Thank you for visiting her. In her last days, she only talked about you and the children. I'm glad she found peace." "I think she did. After she talked to you, she changed completely. She became sweeter, more humble." "Maybe she was always like that inside. She was just lost." On the way home, Emily told Michael everything. "How do you feel?" he asked. "At peace, completely at peace." "I feel like I've closed an important chapter in my life, and now, it's just about living, enjoying each day with you and our children, being grateful for everything we have." "We have a lot to be grateful for." "We have a whole life ahead of us," agreed Emily, nestling into her husband's arms. That night, as she watched the children sleeping, Emily reflected on her journey, from an insecure and mistreated young woman to the accomplished woman she had become, from someone who thought herself unworthy of love to a wife and mother loved unconditionally. Michael found her there in the children's room. "What are you thinking about?" "About life, about how we never know what twists and turns are waiting for us." Good twists and turns? The best possible. If someone had told me 10 years ago that I would be here, married to a wonderful man with 2 beautiful children, with a degree, working in what I love, I would never have believed it. And if someone had told me that I would find the woman of my life in a situation created to humiliate me, I wouldn't have believed it either. We're proof that destiny has a sense of humor. We're proof that true love always finds a way. Always, agreed Emily. They left the children's room holding hands, ready to face together all the challenges and joys that were yet to come, because they had learned that when 2 people truly love each other, there is no obstacle they cannot overcome together. And so, Emily and Michael built not just a family, but a love story that proved that sometimes the best things in life come when we least expect them, in the most unexpected ways, and with the people we least imagine. A story that began with prejudice and mockery, but turned into the most beautiful proof that true love doesn't choose social class, doesn't care about appearances, and always finds a way to win. End of story. Dear listeners, what did you think of this story of love and overcoming? Do you believe Emily made the right decisions throughout the journey? And Michael, did he manage to prove that true love can overcome any prejudice? Share your thoughts in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. If this story touched you, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more moving stories like this one.